Hi, everybody. This is Christian-basel with Mark-Who42, and we just want to take the time to thank everybody who's contributed to our show to ensure that we continue to bring you the latest news, reviews, and interviews throughout the Whoniverse and beyond, like our friends at Audible.com. Right now, you can actually go there and get a free 30-day trial and a free download. Just simply go to audibletrial.com/Mark-Who42 and sign up, and that's all you have to do. And if you'd like to contribute directly to the show, go to www.markwho42.net and hit the donate button on the far right-hand side. Contribute whatever you can give us so that we can bring you this show. Thank you again for everybody who contributes, and thank you for listening.
Hello, I'm Clare Eden, and you're listening to Mark-Who42, and I've just done the introduction without any idea of what I'm doing.
Welcome to Mark-Who42. That's right, Mark-Who42 here on Krypton Radio. I'm your host, Mark-Baumgarten, and with me today we've got
Patricia-Helm
and Eduardo-m-Freyre. And remember, kids, shawarma is awesome.
It is. It really is.
Don't disrespect the shawarma, Mark. We're supposed to cheer the shawarma.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Who else do we have?
I don't think I can follow that.
Yeah, I know. I got two more people on the show, and how can they follow shawarma?
This is Christian-basel, and I have nothing to say after that.
The patty-hawkins is here. I still don't know what the hell shawarma is, and that's not an invitation to explain it to me. I can look it up on the internet. I just don't care.
Well, you know what? I'm going to let Ed explain it to you, but while he's explaining it to you, I think the Seventh Doctor has something to say.
Every great decision creates ripples. A huge boulder dropped in a lake. Ripples can merge, rebound off the banks in unforeseeable ways. I've got to decide whether I go to the Whoniverse and beyond with Mark-Who42 news correspondent Patricia-Helm. Either that, or perhaps I should play my spoons instead.
Do you guys know what today is?
Oh, the day that we're recording this, I know what today is. It's a year anniversary to Deep Breath, because we had our viewing party 1 year ago today on the day we recorded this.
That, and there's something else.
Shawarma!
Yesterday.
We had our weekend TARDIS meeting?
That wasn't yesterday.
No, that wasn't yesterday.
Oh, yesterday. I thought you said today.
No, today. I'm talking about today.
Today.
But yesterday was something special, too.
Was it?
Did you forget?
Oh, yeah. Mark-Who42 is celebrating our third anniversary. Just 3 years ago yesterday, we premiered our original podcast on Podbean. It ran for 8 episodes, and we revamped it and made it into this lovely show. But yes, 3 years ago, you're right.
This is why I'm
excited about this a little bit more.
I am excited. I know. I'm excited. Because the concept of Mark-Who42 started on April Fool's Day in 2012, and it grew to a podcast and then grew to an online radio show. I mean, we're expanding, and it's only taken us 3 years, so it is exciting.
And hey, we're 3 years old. Does that mean we now sleep in the big boy bed?
I hope so, and I hope you're not wearing diapers still. Except you can. Right, Trish?
Do I look like I'm into that whole Japanese fetishy stuff?
See, this is why I'm a bachelor, and I never stick around long enough to have an anniversary, thereby preventing me from ever getting caught forgetting it.
Good boy.
Well, we have one more thing that's special about today. August 23rd.
August 23rd.
50 years ago. It's the 50th anniversary of the Doctor Who and the Daleks movie.
Oh, okay. I knew it was Daleks. So Doctor Who and the Daleks came out 50 years ago. Wow.
In color!
In color. And the Riff Tracks version of Doctor Who and the Daleks is excellent. If you have a chance, you should go to rifftracks.com and buy it, because it's just incredible.
Check that out. I remember the first time that finally rolled over, I think it was in South Florida at the time, and I blew a gasket when it was on Channel 6 or something. It was just oh, Doctor Who and the Daleks. I was like, yes, finally going to see it. And I was like, well, this is okay. The minute they called him Doctor Who at the beginning, that was his name, I was like, it's gotta be a bumpy road.
Well, I mean, there was Susan Who, and there was Barbara Who, and there was Doctor Who.
And the fire extinguisher Dalek guns. And honestly, looking back on it, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't great.
Watch a Riff Tracks version of it. You'll change your mind.
What about that intro that they had during the movie that looked like an Oliver Stone acid tripping flashback?
Oh, yeah, that's a great credit.
With the music and everything. Wow. I'm just like, oh, what the heck is that? Tell me I'm wrong on that.
I'm not going to tell you anything.
Hey.
It definitely is an Oliver Stone.
Yeah. I just remember when one of the movie channels played it a few months ago, and Trish and I are watching it, and we're like, wow, this is weird, because it's like, it's Doctor Who, but he's a human called Doctor Who, and it's Grand Moff Tarkin is Doctor Who, and it's just trying to wrap the brain around it.
Anybody ever seen the fan-made third Doctor Who Peter Cushing movie trailer?
For the third movie, the one they never made?
Yeah, there's a fan-made one that is brilliant.
No, I haven't
it's
seen
absolutely brilliant. It's got like color footage of the mechanoids and the Daleks make an evil version of the Doctor, so they use Peter Cushing from a different movie. It's really brilliant.
Wow.
Check it out. It's like 3 minutes long, and it's better than the preceding movies combined.
So this fan trailer actually gave us the Valeyard 20 years early. Okay. Interesting.
So, folks, that's the end of our self-congratulatory section. So we're taking drinks, and I'm pretty much sloshed right now. But, well, I was going to say, after the news, I didn't mention this at the beginning, we've got Clare Eden on our show today. Clare Eden is the producer of Strangeness-in-Space with Sophie Aldred, and she's also an agent. Isn't that right, Christian?
Yes, she is. And I think, if I remember our interview with Sophie Aldred, they actually used to be friends at the university.
Yeah, they went to school together. So that's coming up. But now, let's go with Trish, and Trish can give us the news that doesn't talk about us particular.
Or Peter Cushing doctors.
Or Peter Cushing. Well, Peter Cushing is the sixth member, the unofficial sixth member, or was the unofficial. It's timey-wimey. Don't worry.
Well, did you guys hear that Agent Carter wants to be Doctor Who?
Yeah.
She wants to be the Doctor.
My grandmother wants to be the next Doctor Who. Come on now.
I want to be the next Doctor Who.
Yeah, good for her. It's not a bad... I mean, I could see her in the role. It's just that, well, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but Capaldi's still the Doctor. There's no...
Well, I bet Trisha's got an article later on in this newscast that may change that story.
Maybe,
that was the next thing I was going to talk about.
Thanks very much.
Well, you know what, Trish mention that article, because for what I have to say, that...
the article, it's from the Daily Mirror, which, as we know, is like the Inquirer. So take this for what it's worth. But to me, it doesn't really mean anything, because this is what Peter Capaldi said. He said, I sort of enjoy this position I am in with a kind of deep Scottish melancholy, because I know it has to end one day. I will cross that bridge when we come to it, which may be sooner rather than later. That's all he said.
See, I got to tell you something. I think Peter Capaldi, because he already has a career, because he's already received accolades, he has no reason to leave Doctor Who. He's not doing a Matt Smith or a David Tennant and going on to bigger and better things. He's done bigger and better things, and he's doing Doctor Who now. And I think Peter's going to be a long-running Doctor. I don't think he's going to leave, especially not after Series 9.
I got $5, says you're wrong.
You think he's going to go sooner than later?
I don't think I'll go after not this season, but the next season.
Well,
I think it's a three. I got $5. Says the 3 seasons. He's in for 3 seasons, and he fails.
You don't think he's going to pull a Colin Baker, where Colin was actually trying to beat Tom Baker's record, but it just backfired.
Colin wanted to. Colin was totally ready to stay for over 7 years.
Technically, he did with Big Finish.
Big Finish, he did. And in fact, The Last Adventure came out this week. I just got it from Big Finish, and I plan to listen to it this week.
If I can go back to what I was saying.
Yeah, I think I'll allow that.
The thing, thank you, sir, for your magnanimousness. The thing with Hayley Atwell wanting to be Doctor Who, like I said, I can see her in it, but the Mirror aside, because, well, we have to take everything the Mirror says with a grain of salt, as far as we know, Capaldi's in it for the long haul. And there's no word going around that they're going to be looking for somebody new. So, it's great that you want the role. A bunch of people want the role, male, female, young, old. So it's like, okay, that's great, but you're going to have to wait. Not to mention the fact that she's right now in the middle of doing Agent Carter.
Well, right,
How long is that going to last? I mean, and are Disney and Marvel seriously going to be like, oh, well, she wants to go do Doctor Who. Okay, I guess no more Agent Carter. No, they're kind of going to be like, okay.
Well, Agent Carter is only a 10-episode series every year.
Yeah, but
so she can do that and Doctor Who and switch back and forth.
Maybe.
But I don't think she's going to do Doctor Who. She was saying she wanted to, and I got to side Christian on this. Christian hasn't chimed in yet. I think that is a talking point and definitely should be covered.
How many times has an article come out where, and especially a female actress who comes out and says, I want to be on Doctor Who, and they make it into this big hoopla? I mean, for God's sakes, there was a big article in somewhere for Paris Jackson to become the next Doctor. I mean, people are, it's just, this person wants to be the actor or that, and I get the feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick, I bet you people during interviews with somebody, like let's say there's an actress, let's just say it's Paris Jackson, they just off the cuff ask him, hey Paris, the next Doctor's leaving, do you want to be the next Doctor Who? And they say yes. All of a sudden it's front page news on a tabloid. But I get the feeling that's what's going on over here.
Well, no actor is ever going to say, unless they're supremely confident, it's like, no, I'm not interested in that. Like no working actor. And again, too, she's...
Christopher Eccleston, will you do Doctor Who again? Yeah, I think you're wrong on that.
Well, no, well, that's a different... No, but that's
but that's a different thing. She's exactly. At a level of, like, yes, I'm always... And... I mean, I look at it this way. I'm more interested in an actress that says, yes, I'd love to do Doctor Who. That sounds like fun. As opposed to somebody's like, no, I hate that sci-fi crap. That's for children, blah, blah, blah. I mean, there have been some people that have said some scalding stuff about geek properties that I'm interested in. I'm like, oh, well, you can go piss up a rope. I'm never going to watch anything.
You know what? But, it's funny, but a parallel that I think I would bring up, because this was in the news this week as well, is the fighter Ronda Rousey. She said she wants to be the lead in the Captain Marvel movie that Marvel's going to be developing. And in this particular case, at least we know it's something that's developing, and we know Marvel and Disney are probably scouting around to look for who would fit the bill.
They picked their Captain Marvel a while ago.
Yeah, most
likely.
They
just haven't announced it. I know who it is.
Oh, you do?
Okay, but having said that, that sort of thing, at least an actress / wrestling fighting performer like Ronda Rousey, that has, I think, a little bit more traction to it, because at least this is a movie that's in development. So we know it's going to happen. It's not like, well, whenever Capaldi leaves, I'd like a shot. As we said, everybody wants a shot. And this is something that we don't know when it'll happen. So, again, it's cute. The idea sounds kind of cool, but get in line and have something to read or do while waiting, because, like I said, Capaldi so far is not going anywhere.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They're thinking this is a conspiracy theory. I think that the powers that be over there at the BBC is playing with the media, toying with the idea. If you talk about something more and more and more, it's going to generate interest for that article, even if it's so obscure or so ridiculous. Let's just say off the cuff, don't go crazy. Let's say Kim Kardashian wants to be Doctor Who. That will generate enough media or attention to Doctor Who that it continues the blood flowing during those times when Doctor Who's not on, or it's not being mentioned, or people are saying things about Capaldi that are not true, or are making up articles. But I think the powers that be kind of do that every now and then to get the interest going, so that we're not losing out on the interest of Doctor Who. It's not going downhill. We keep it going by throwing out an article that just sounds really off the wall, or somebody says, I think I'm interested in Doctor Who, but that's just my opinion on that.
This is Mark Who 42 on Krypton Radio. I hope you're enjoying yourselves, and now back to the news. Trish?
Well, Tom Baker, the lovely Tom Baker.
The Tom.
Apparently he could possibly be in Star Wars. On the franchise. Probably not the next movie, but somewhere in there.
I've heard he's going to be doing the voices of several, characters, not necessarily in it.
Yeah, he said that he's going to be recording some voices for a new character they created for him.
Yeah.
But they don't know if it's going to be in one of the movies or if it's going to be in one of the TV shows. No idea.
Oh, wow.
It's probably a little late for the newest movie that's coming out this December. That's probably all done, but...
Once again, Star Wars fanboys will twist in rage and impotent anger. That Doctor Who has dared defile their holy Star Wars.
How dare Doctor Who!
Honestly, first of all, I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to show up in something like Star Wars Rebels. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not the main movies, but something else. But as far as those fanboys that are, what was it you said again, Patrick?
No. It's Star Wars fandom has had a particular dislike of any other fandom, really. And I don't mean most of them. I'm talking about the very large, dogmatic minority.
Well, you'll be happy to know that as a Star Wars fan myself, I actually am looking forward to this. I'm very curious to see what he'd be voicing and what his role would be. So I'm happy that the Tom's coming in.
Put this way, when Bosk's costume was revealed to have been a leftover from that old Doctor Who adventure, I mean, it was like showing a KKK guy that he had a black ancestor. I knew Doctor Who fandom really kind of like, no, it's a lie. It's a filthy lie. Filthy lie.
No. So what? Were they like Luke Skywalker going, no, it's not true. It's impossible. Come on. Jeez, man. Shout out to Empire, and that's your reaction? Jeez. Turn in your geek card, Mark.
I'm a New Hope fan.
A New Hope.
That's where
I like New Hope and Jedi as well. I mean, I like Empire, but I don't mind happy. It's okay to have happy sci-fi.
So Peter Capaldi, he's talked about some of the Doctor's upcoming costume tweaks. Apparently his sunglasses are Sonic sunglasses. I don't know if that's a joke or what. Yeah, I heard it was a joke, but I'm not sure. As he says, I've got Sonic sunglasses. It wasn't my idea, but I like it. I get free Ray-Bans now. I was just wearing shades because it was sunny and I was Doctor Who and it looked cool.
Good for him.
But he did say that there's going to be some specific trouser things that happen for specific reasons.
Trouser things.
It'll become clear when you watch the show. I'm guessing he's talking about the second Doctor style pants.
I hope that's what he's talking about.
Well, does anyone besides me notice, okay, he's like, what episode he's wearing trotting pants, and looks like a later episode he's got a Pertwee-ish smoking jacket. I mean, is there a countdown going on here or something like that?
Well, we talked about before, there was like some episode where he's going to go through a degeneration, possibly.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that, yeah.
But he says he might go full John Pertwee bouffant with his hair. It is starting to get there if you've seen the pictures from there. But now, have you guys heard about this contest that BBC's doing called Mission Dalek?
Yeah, actually, my fan club Weekend TARDIS, we're gonna have an entry. We're gonna work.
Oh, you are cool.
Yeah, we're gonna do one. Has to be 90 seconds long.
90 seconds or less.
Yeah, kind of makes it tough, but we're gonna do it. And I might need your voice as Peter Capaldi.
Alrighty. Do you need my eyebrows too? Or are you going to borrow
Have you gone on to the website, Mark, to bbc.co.uk?
Yeah, I've downloaded all the assets and the pictures and the videos. It's like a gig of information of stuff to download, yeah.
But basically what the contest is that they want the fans to create a short video. They're asking you what has led the Doctor to confront the evil Daleks once again. So you guys get to decide why. And they have all this stuff on there that you can edit together to make your own short digital movie. Now, it's open to everybody, the contest, but UK residents, they get the opportunity, if they win, they get to go to the set of Doctor Who and meet the Doctor.
Right, and we just get favorited
by and followed by the official BBC Doctor Who Twitter account.
Which is fine. In fact, maybe Mark Who 42 should do that. Make 2 videos, put them up. It seems like a really easy thing to do, to edit 90 seconds of footage and original, because you can do animation.
You can do your own videos, everything. You don't have to use what they are providing for you, but it's there.
You can only use what they provided for you in terms of their stuff. You can't take it from another episode and put it in your video, because then that's breaking the copyright law. They're only allowing what they've released as user-friendly data. Open source. The stuff they've released is now open source, is what I mean. So actually, you can make a music video and use that footage now.
On their website, they have a lot of how-to videos, too, and tools to help you make it. It's not like they're just leaving you to your own.
And all you have to do is go to bbc.co.uk/Mission Dalek.
Yes.
It's going to be a great thing. I think fans everywhere should enter this thing. And what you do is you don't send the video to the BBC. You put it on some form of social media and send the BBC the link.
Any social media platform that you like.
So they want 10,000 million commercials floating around, all for free. That's clever. That's
basically
clever.
advertising for Series 9.
Yeah.
The videos include footage of Daleks and Dalek shooting and exterminating. There are shots of Missy. There's tons of different things that you could edit together. And we've got an idea for Weekend TARDIS by Club.
Sounds like fun. Maybe I'll have to check it out. So on August 20th, which was just the other day, the latest issue of Doctor Who.
It's not a week ago on the day.
Other day. What? Timey-wimey.
Don't correct the mistress.
Recently on the 20th.
Sorry, Missy.
The last issue of Doctor Who magazine came out.
Yes.
And it had an awesome cover shot of the Doctor and Missy back to back. I would love that as a poster. Did anybody else notice? I was looking at the cover. On the Doctor's coat, he's wearing the red velvet coat. On the cuff, he's got 3 buttons on the cuff. 2 are black and 1 is red. Why?
Why ask why?
I don't know. It's just weird.
If it was 2 whites and a black, he may be trying to imitate the command pips for the collar on Star Trek Next Generation.
Mark, do you get the magazine?
Yeah, I do. In fact, let me take a look at it now.
Because inside there was something called The Secret Diary of the Master.
Yes.
It's supposed to be what the Master's thinking when he's doing everything that we know he's done.
I haven't read the issue yet, so this will be spoilers for me, but go ahead.
No, that's all I have. That's all I have. There's supposed to be a brand new comic strip adventure in there where Clara has a reunion with Danny Pink.
Oh, that's cool. That's going to be good.
And there's supposed to be an advertisement in there. It's for Doctor Who: The Complete History.
Yes.
Now, I'm annoyed because, okay, so this is a series of books, and it basically is the making of every single episode of Doctor Who, starting from the beginning. It's like 3 or 4 episodes per issue.
Uh-huh.
And it's all this behind-the-scenes things. However, the publishing company has an exclusive contract with the UK and Ireland. That's the only place it's going to come out.
Not exactly. I know some specialty stores will have it. I actually saw it advertised somewhere on site.
That's great. That's great, Mark. But here's the thing: since the idea is it's supposed to be UK and Ireland exclusive, how much more are you going to pay said specialty stores?
Well, I mean, you pay a lot more for a Doctor Who magazine subscription in the United States. They pay $80, we pay $160. So yeah, it'll be more expensive. It would be nice if there was an American version, and if it sells well, I would think they'd go for an American edition. I do. I think it's a money decision.
Well, if it sells well and somebody tells the publisher that there's an American audience for this, then yeah.
Right. And also in this issue, there's supposed to be something where Steven-Moffat is answering more of the questions.
Yeah, he does it every
says he's presenting a brand new scene which explores what the Doctor called himself during the Time War.
Oh.
So look that up. Find it. I want to know.
Nah, you'll have to buy it.
You can tell me later.
I'm evil. I'm Missy's alter ego.
It'd be funny if the whole thing, what name he used, is actually the 2 movies that Peter Cushing was in. That explains everything about the War Doctor. I made myself human and called myself Doctor Who and had kids.
Yeah, there you go.
And Moffat also had 5 teaser words for us.
Oh, I love when he does the teaser words. What are the 5 teaser words?
I am going to quit.
That's 5 words.
That's a tease. That's definitely a tease.
He didn't say what he was quitting. He just said he was quitting. No, just kidding. Love you.
I'm going to quit eating chips with fish.
There you go.
So the 5 words are cards, hybrid, cobbles, solo, dead.
Okay, Patrick, put those 5 words together in a sentence and make it what he's talking about.
I cobbled a hybrid to the set of the new Star Wars movie to meet Harrison Ford, who plays Han Solo, and he told me he's dead at the end.
I thought you'd go with the Han Solo. I thought you'd get there. Okay, so that sounds like a trick hint for the first episode. So that means Harrison Ford is in...
Doctor.
Okay.
He likes it or not.
Harrison Ford has only a one-picture contract with Star Wars. I wish people would get around to realizing that.
Well, they're going to kill him off. They're going to kill him.
Not necessarily. I mean,
he's dead.
Look, that's just a
he gets
rumor.
into a plane accident, and it's just like real life, except he dies this time.
No. See, that's just assumptions. I mean, okay, yes, he has a one-picture deal, but who's to say that he won't fly the Millennium Falcon off into the sunset? You know, who's to say? You know, do we know if?
Who's to say?
I mean, of the returning characters, do we know for sure that everybody else is coming back except for Harrison Ford?
I don't know, but I got $20 here. It says you're wrong.
I'm just saying.
I only had
money
Where's he getting money from? It's not from this show. That's definitely.
$5. Now you're going 20. You're just.
Put it this way, I bet Mark only 5. I'm betting you 20. That tells you where my confidence is.
Yeah.
All I gotta say is the way he's throwing all this money out, I say next time all of us are in the same area, Patrick's buying dinner.
Damn straight.
It's obvious he's got the money, man. You know.
The next podcast, Patrick's going to make it rain during the show.
Well, Christian dances, yes. Okay, well, the rest of the news is actually all full of spoilers, so hit it, Mark.
Let me tie Christian down.
We're tying Christian down, and here we go. Did that hurt?
What?
Did that hurt? You can't hear me, can you? No.
Judging
I can't hear.
Judging by the face he made when the alarm was going off, I'd say he's in excruciating pain right now and probably wishing for the sweet oblivion of death.
Well, the latest issue of SFX magazine came out, and basically Moffat went through episode by episode and revealed certain details. You guys want to hear?
Yeah, damn straight I want to hear.
All right. So for episode 1 and 2, two-parter, we already knew that.
Right.
It says it features a lot of Daleks, and this time we mean it. Clara receives a mysterious summons and has to team up with Missy to search for the Doctor in a very, very old place. Now, it also says that
Claire receives a summons.
Yeah, I was about to say, is she on jury duty and the whole episode is her trying to get out of it?
Oh.
Boy, I hate that episode already.
Yeah. It also says that Clara is still very busy at Coal Hill School, and the Doctor and Missy are sort of on the same side. They said a theme kind of for these episodes are friends within enemies. Daleks are not the only monster.
Okay.
And part 1 ends on a massive cliffhanger, so they're not going to show it in the movie theater. So then on to episodes 3 and 4. This is another two-parter. This one's the one written by Toby Whitehouse, and features an underwater base plagued by creeping ghosts and an island that is about to be submerged in water. But who or what is doing this, and how can the Doctor stop it? It's very scary, atmospheric, and claustrophobic, much like some classic episodes. So ghosts plus time travel. What if you could meet your own ghost?
I don't know. What if you...
And guest star Sophie Stone's character, she will only be speaking in sign language.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I like the sound of it.
I liked it.
So episodes 5 and 6. Doctor Who meets Game of Thrones. Only because of Maisie Williams. The
Doctor goes to a wedding!
Yeah. Oh, no. No.
Everybody dies.
The first part features Vikings fighting mercenary robots and a dragon. And the second one sees a group of highwaymen dealing with a Norse god. So Maisie Williams is very different each episode, and she's playing a very important character. Is she the girl who died? Maybe, but it won't be as simple as that. The Girl Who Died is the name of the episode. The second one's The Woman Who Lived.
Who is the woman who lived?
Missy.
Wait, it's the Highwaymen? Okay, so wait, it's Highwaymen.
But I thought Missy was in the first story.
Well,
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
She's in the first two. Who knows?
Part two is Highwaymen versus a Norse god?
Yes.
So, hold on a minute. Remember last episode when we were talking about the trailer?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a shot of what we assume is Odin with those two robot thingies. Could that be from the second episode?
No, it says mercenary robots are in the first one. So
Right, but it says that the Highwaymen are versus a Norse god, but there's nothing to say that he can't have at least two of those things hanging out with him in the second one.
True.
And then what does that have to do with Robbie Benson in The Coach and breathing fire? Because, I mean, as far as I know, there are no cat people in Norse mythology.
Huh.
I don't... Okay.
Do you not know? Timey-wimey.
Whammy.
Timey-wimey, headachy.
So episode 7 and 8, this is written by Peter Harness, and actually the second episode, 8, is co-written by Steven Moffat.
Oh. Like I say, like I'm surprised. I don't... I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, my Mark is like, oh, great. Part 2 is written by Steven-Moffat, so you're going to have a bunch of stuff that happens in the episode where you're going to have to left wonder, is this a clue? Am I ever going to come back to this? Check back with me in season 11.
Day of the Doctor is a prologue to this episode.
Huh.
So you got the Zygons. They've made peace with humans, but not every Zygon decided it was okay. So they've been raising an army silently, and now they're rising against UNIT. We've been planning this forever, and Osgood is in it, but how is that possible, you ask? MC killed her. Who knows? Well, we know. That's what Moffat says. 2 titles, Invasion of the Zygons or Inversion of the Zygons.
And I think those are great titles. Invasion of the Zygons and Inversion of the Zygons. Those are good titles.
I agree.
It's supposed to be quite a dark story, and Osgood could well be a companion. Teases Capaldi, but we're playing around with that.
I bet she'd love it. You know, we had her on the show. She loves Doctor Who.
Ingrid Oliver says the Doctor asks if Osgood is the real one, and she says, I don't tell him the answer to that. Featuring a Zygon chase around a supermarket and Osgood in New Mexico.
Yeah, but as far as I know, they didn't film in the United States. It's
no, I don't think so. Well, we'll have to see if
it makes
really
it New Mexico, and why? Just on the cuff, out of the other 49 states, New Mexico?
I don't know. Maybe the Zygons really wanted some Tex-Mex. I have no idea.
They picked Utah out of the blue. Anyway. Episode 9. It's a very unique Doctor Who story from Mark Gatiss. It wasn't possible to do such an episode 10 years ago when the show came back and Mark had been rewriting it over and over again to make it perfect. It's a beautiful story, very eerie and special. I think it's going to be an instant classic. It says that this will only feature old phone and camcorder footage showing the Time Lord's followers filming their attempts to fight a creature. It's like Doctor Who does Cloverfield.
Hey, I'm wearing my Linda shirt right now.
And the executive producer even said they're considering not even having opening titles and just running the footage.
Linda!
In like the worst case, though, people just be saying, oh, yay, it's Doctor Who meets Cloverfield. Ugh. Best case, this could be what Love and Monsters should have been, or that this could have been Love and Monsters, the better version, a few years later. I got to admit,
there is one
better episode.
Patrick, let's see if you agree with me on this or not. I got to admit, I'm a little over the whole found footage phenomena. It's just that there were a couple of things here and there that were kind of cool, but now it just feels like, well, we want to do this on the cheap, and we want to give it that real feeling, so we're going to do it a la found footage. It's just, I don't know. I don't hate it, but I'm just like, okay, all right. So hopefully, since this is Doctor Who, they can pull something fresh with it, and really make good use of it.
Hope so.
I don't know. What do you think, Patrick?
I could go either way at it. I mean, it's the novelty of found footage stuff is kind of over. And again, Cloverfield crystallized it, but it didn't invent it. And it really just depends on, okay, found footage, and now what? I think that's really what it is. I mean, I remember when I saw Blair Witch Project, I thought there was going to be a riot at the end because everybody was massive pissed that there was no ending at all. And everybody thought they had been had, and I tended to agree. I'm like, no. Stephen King made it very clear in Danse Macabre. He was just like, if you say there's something behind that door, then you've got to reveal it.
Right.
It's like you've got to show the monster behind the door. You owe the fans that.
Just as long as it doesn't make me sick like Cloverfield did.
Oh.
I don't know if anybody else watched that in the movie theater. I got so sick I couldn't watch the movie.
Yeah, no, I watched it at home. Sickness. I think the movie actually that did give me motion sickness was Speed Racer. That one I actually had to literally pause the movie, get up, go to my kitchen, grab an aspirin, and then wait a couple of minutes for it to kick in before I could keep the movie going.
Okay, on to episode 10. Moffat says this is an episode which leapt out as, why haven't we done this already? This is so Doctor Who, we should have been doing this immediately.
Killing Claire?
He says it's going to be a real, it's going to be a fan favorite, so maybe. Everyone will want to rewatch it, so yeah, maybe. They actually pushed this episode back to episode 10 because they wanted it to lead into the finale, the last 2 episodes. And as far as the last 2, Moffat doesn't say very much. He says it was a challenge. I won't say anything else because it'll be too spoilery, but when you'll watch it, you're going to be asking how exactly the Doctor and Claire are going to pull it off. And they said that episode 11 is going to feature the 12th Doctor on his own.
Yes! Finally! Yes.
I'm very happy with that, and I think that the fans will be too.
Yes.
And
I get to not take my anti-Claritin. It's great.
And Peter suggests that the series will not end happily. He says the Doctor, he is aware darkness will fall.
Oh.
The Doctor and Clara can't have a good time for too long. They have to pay for it.
And then, of course, the Christmas episode will come out, and it'll make everything happy.
Kill her.
Now, Capaldi also said that some of the stories could be considered three-parters.
Oh.
And also the Jadoon and the Hath will be making a return.
Cool.
It's genuinely going to be the Hath. It's not going to be some guy from the costume department saying, we need more aliens. Oh, look, we haven't used a Hath costume. Here, put this on.
They'll just go back to what they did in the old series where they took a costume that already existed, painted it black, and said, this is a different monster like the Weirin.
I got a question for you. Have we ever done 10 minutes of spoilers? That's a long spoiler segment.
Ooga.
It was quite a chore getting it all together because it was spread over a couple different articles. So, yeah.
Wow.
So shall we move on to the birthdays?
Yeah, I think it's time.
Well, there's only one.
Well, I think it's time for the birthday.
So coming up on September 1st, we have Vern Gorman, Owen from Torchwood.
Oh, you know what? He's going to be down in Fort Lauderdale at Wizard World Fort Lauderdale in October. He'll be there with Eve Miles.
Nice.
Yeah. John Berman had a camp.
And hopefully he won't get killed.
I wish they'd come to Reno.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, hopefully he won't get killed at the convention, because, I mean, let's see, he's died in Torchwood, he died in Game of Thrones, he died in Dark Knight Rises.
I don't think he died in Forever, but that got canceled, so I guess he did.
Well, he lived in Pacific Rim, but they're making Pacific Rim 2, so I don't know. He'd better talk to Guillermo del Toro and be like, I've been nice, right? I've been good. You like me, don't you?
Yes, I like you dead.
Keep looking at those script pages, Byrne. Pray that he doesn't come into set one day and Guillermo goes, listen, Byrne, listen to me. There's going to be a great scene. Your death scene will be the highlight of the movie. I could just see Vern Gorman going, God, not again. Can't I just live once?
Vern, have a happy birthday.
There's a reason why he's called Burn.
He gets burned a lot. So that's all we've got for our news and birthday without the S section of the show. We're going to go take a commercial break. When we come back, we've got a very special interview with Clare Eden. And though she only has Doctor Who connections, but she is a Doctor Who fan, and we'll talk with her right after this.
Kid? Yes? Shut up.
Beyond the Night is the GCRN's latest review podcast. We are covering everything in the Knight Rider television universe, from the classic 80s TV series to the 1991 reunion film, Team Knight Rider, and the 2008 relaunch series as well. So join TFG and Mike and Dion the Music Man as they go in-depth in Beyond the Night, only on Geekcast Radio Network. You can find Beyond the Night in iTunes and on www.geekcastradio.com.
Kid?
Yes, Michael.
Just keep driving.
By the power of Grayskull, I command the jaw bridge. Open!
The Powers of Grayskull series will cover every episode of all four Masters of the Universe cartoons. Join Optimus Solo and myself, TFG and Mike, as we tell tales of Eternia, discover the myths of Etheria, become Masters in Space, and finally Masters of Grayskull. We'll have a commentary on the Secret of the Sword film, and a few other special episodes. You can find this 125-episode-long podcast in iTunes and on the web at geekcastradio.com. By the power and honor of Grayskull, we all have the power.
Yeah, I hope I didn't miss anything exciting.
Attention all Whovians! While you're waiting for the new episode of Doctor Who, start your own adventures with a book from Mark Who 42 Books. They carry unique and rare books at affordable prices. Visit amazon.com/shops/markwho42. That's amazon.com/shops/markwho42. Mark Who 42 Books. Set your imagination free into the Whoniverse.
This is Elisa Stern.
And this is Scott Ampleford from Dr. Puppet. And you're listening to Mark Who 42.
Welcome Welcome back to Mark Who 42. That's right, Mark Who 42 here on Krypton Radio. We're the Doctor Who podcast that also goes beyond the Whoniverse. Christian-basel is with us. I'm Mark-Baumgarten, of course. And we have a very special guest today, and we'd like to introduce her. Her name is Clare Eden. Hello, Clare.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Now, we are talking to you because of someone who we know that you know, Sophie Aldred. We got connected with you through her, and we found some very interesting things about you, and we wanted to have you on the show.
So I presume you're talking about the Ministry of Chance as well.
Oh, Ministry of Chance and other things. We'll be talking about a lot of other things, too. But first, for those people who are listening to our show who don't know who you are, could you tell us a little about yourself?
Hello, I'm Clare Eden. I'm based in London in the UK. I started originally as an agent looking after actors, and that led me down this very bizarre route, ending up with producing audio drama as well. And now, at the moment, I do both. I have got clients currently, and one of them, or I should say, two of them, are the double act Trev and Simon. And they are indeed in one of the projects that I'm producing at the moment, which is a podcast series called Strangeness-in-Space, which is also working with Sophie Aldred, who's been a guest on your show as well recently.
Yes, she has. Now, you just mentioned Trev and Simon, and they are comedy performers and writers. How did you meet these two guys?
Well, all four of us, in fact, Sophie, Trev, Simon and I were at university together back in the 80s. Yeah, we did drama together. So Simon and Sophie and I were in a year, and then Trev joined the year below us. And while we were at university, Trev and Simon hooked up and started doing their comedy, and we all sort of went off on our separate ways, except that I began agenting, and I did look after Trev and Simon back in the 80s. I then stopped agenting for a little while I had kids. I think my oldest was 1 when I stopped. And I stopped looking after actors and started looking after writers and directors and, lighting designers. That's a much easier thing to do part-time than looking after actors. And then years and years later, Trev and Simon have remained friends, and years later I started looking after them again. And because I'd had the experience of working on the Ministry of Chance, I just had this brainwave one day. It was one of those, literally a light bulb moment. I was watching Sophie and Simon Hickson at Brit Sci-Fi, and we've been invited there as guests because of the Ministry of Chance, because both Sophie and Simon play cameo roles in that for me. And I was watching them talk, and they were reminiscing about their time at university together, and I could see the audience lapping it up and just loving this little glimpse into what they'd been like as students and the stories they were telling and putting on shows together back then. And I thought, God, wouldn't it be brilliant if they actually did work together on screen or on an audio drama or something. I was just, at that point, just thinking they just need to work together. And then the obvious thing came to me very shortly afterwards, which was Trev and Simon have always written their own comedy. I think they're brilliant writers. And in fact, since they were on Saturday morning television here back in the 80s, they've been writing almost entirely, writing for both children and adult television. So I thought, well, that's the obvious thing, isn't it? As I commission them, I say, you guys write something that you want to be in and put Sophie in it as well. And then we'll all make it together. And the next thing you know, they've got Trev, Simon and Sophie in space. The loose premise of it is that Trev, Simon and Sophie end up in space on a broken down rocket ship, and they're just orbiting the planet Mirth.
The planet Mirth?
The planet Mirth.
Oh, it's going to be full of mirth, this show. All right.
It's going to be full of mirth.
Really?
I had to go there.
It's not a sketch show. It's a properly, fully rounded beginning, middle and an end audio drama.
Okay.
It's very daft. It's absolutely daft entertainment.
Are we talking an audio Red Dwarf?
I'm going to say yes, because that's going to be the easiest way of you getting it. But it is audio. It's like many things. Dumb and Dumber they've come up with as well. It's like an audio Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
I don't know if that's a good thing for the Americans to hear.
The Americans may not have wanted to hear
We're still reeling over the sequel right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's a kind of... No, I just mean in terms of having, the two Dumb and Dumbers in it. That's the one they were talking about. It's very much an original piece in terms of what happens in it. You won't find many people writing in the same nonsense way as Trevor and Simon do, which I find brilliantly funny but very well crafted. And it's actually very difficult to write comedy at that level. You know, people think it's very easy to be funny, but comedy I find is both harder to perform and harder to write. Highly skilled. So I was delighted when they delivered the scripts. I just looked at them and thought, okay, we have to make this somehow. We have no commissioning body. We decided that we'd crowdfund, which we'd done on the Minister of Chance as well. And the four of us sort of set off to get this done. So each week, well, I say each week, that makes it sound like we're going to put them out weekly, and we won't. Each episode, shall I say, will be a story in which they travel down to planet Mirth to collect provisions or just for something to do or whatever. And they will encounter something. So episode 1 is going to be released shortly. So in terms of us recording, it will already be out by the time your listeners are having a chance to download it themselves, yeah.
So hopefully some of the listeners have heard it already, and if you haven't, definitely go. Now, where can they find this again?
Well, it will be free. Now, that's the first thing to say. It'll be free.
Woo!
It will be available from our website, which is strangeness-in-space.com, or available from iTunes. But I know, you know, iTunes are popular with some and not so popular with others.
We like iTunes here at Mark Who 42.
So we want to make sure that it's easily available to everyone. So you can go whichever route you prefer. You literally just download it and listen to it on any of those devices that we carry around with us all the time. I mean, pretty much anybody you meet now has got a smartphone, a Kindle, a computer, or an iPad or pod. And one of the things Trev and Simon became famous for was the fact that they were on a Saturday morning show in England in the 80s where they did the comedy inserts, and it was nonsense daft comedy, which the kids adored. But also, over a period of time, it became obvious that the parents were taking their coffee break when Trevor and Simon were on, and that the parents were also coming and sitting.
Are we talking going live?
And live and kicking, yeah. Both of those. And they became incredibly popular with students, with 20-year-olds lying in bed with their hangovers, with mums and dads with their kids. It was generally universal comedy because it was just daft nonsense that you couldn't help but chuckle at, which we're translating that into what we're doing now. And it's an incredibly hard brief to give to someone. Say, you know, I'd like you to write me something that is genuinely family orientated, that you could listen to if you're 8 and you could listen to if you're 80, and you will enjoy it, possibly in different ways, some of it in exactly the same way, but that you do all find it funny. And we've already got a rough cut which we've been trying out on a few people. Some of them are Trevor and Simon fans who've got no kids. Some of them are fans that have kids. Some of them don't know who Trevor and Simon are, but they've got kids, and we've nabbed them. We've kind of tried to get across the board, and we've been really pleased with the response. Is that everybody seems to be finding something different about their favourite bits are often different, but they all seem to be enjoying the fact that you just for 20 minutes, I think it comes in about 24 minutes, episode 1. It's just nonsense, but fun.
We would love to be beta testers for this. We'd love to hear this.
Would you?
Pigs for everybody.
Yeah, but of course, we'll have heard it by now.
By the time anyone else hears us talking about it, you will have heard it.
Yes.
And they will hopefully have heard it. But what you want to know is whether you can hear it before this goes out for everyone else to hear.
Yeah, that's what I'm insinuating.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do then is when we send it out to the backers, who are the people who kindly supported it on Kickstarter. I mean, it was fantastic. We put it on Kickstarter hoping that we could raise enough to make the first episode, and we hit the target for that within the first 2 weeks. It's just the most heartwarming response to all three of them, actually, for people who really wanted to see Trevor and Simon do something now that they'd written themselves to be in, and people thinking, oh gosh, you know, Sophie, Doctor Who and Ace, and, you know, all of it kind of came back in this nostalgic 1980s wave. And so we were thrilled by that response, and then they actually went past that target into almost entirely funding episode 2 as well. So we certainly had enough to be able to start recording episode 2. We've actually done that now. We've still got things like music recording to do and the post-production to do. So we will still be raising funds before we can afford to actually release it. But it's well on its way, and it's more than we hoped would be the case. And from then on, who knows? I mean, they'll love it or they won't. And if they do, hopefully we can make more.
Let's hope it's good. I mean, I'm sure it's good. Let's hope that you can make more.
Just had a question. The Minister of Chance.
Yeah.
If you want to tell our audience a little bit more about that, was the idea of the story spawned off by the name of the character from Death Comes to Time?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, Death Comes to Time, for those that don't know it, was a Doctor Who audio that was written and directed by a really clever man called Dan Freeman. And that was a very long time ago. I mean, we're talking a decade ago easily, if not more.
I know, and even to this day, that story has scarred me for life. And anybody who hasn't listened to it, go for it, listen to it. But I'm just going to give this spoiler away. I am scarred from the ending.
There's an animated version, isn't there? I mean, not well animated, but I mean, it was pictures that they had over the dialogue when it was on the BBC.
That was good.
I don't know the origin of that, but his was an audio piece.
Well, no, it was an audio piece, but if I remember correctly, Death Comes to Time was on the BBC website.
Right, they did 2 web series that were animated pieces. Well, not animated, but they showed little clips and stuff.
They had little
It was
pictures.
Death Come to Time and Real Time with Colin Baker.
Right.
Those 2 episodes.
Okay.
And didn't the Minister of Chance, wasn't he played by Stephen-Fry?
Yes. I mean, Sylvester McCoy plays the Doctor in Death Comes to Time, and Stephen Fry played the Minister of Chance.
Who was another Time Lord, if I remember correctly.
Yes. And so years later, I mean, even at the time, I think Dan had been thinking what a great character that was. And years later, he thought about doing something with it. And what he wanted to do was make a series in which the Minister had his own universe and his own adventures. So, yes, it's a spin-off from Doctor Who in that character appeared in a Doctor Who audio. But in terms of world and universe, no reference to Doctor Who is ever made. I mean, it just follows the journeys of the Minister, who is played by Julian Wadham in this series, really brilliantly. And then to twist it on its head slightly, just because it's fun to do that sometimes, we invited Sylvester to be in it, but playing a baddie. So he plays the Witch Prime, and he is having delicious fun being evil. And then we also invited, not because he was a doctor, but because he was an actor who was very right for the role, Paul McGann, who came in to play an ambassador who works with Sylvester's Witch Prime. And at one point in recording, I was sitting there, it was very early on in episodes 1. We did episodes 1 and 2 together, and it was one of the first things we recorded. I'm stood in studio and I'm looking at Paul McGann, Sylvester McCoy, and Paul Darrow, who your listeners may know from Blake 7.
Definitely.
So you've got Sylvester's Witch Prime being in charge of a country where science has been outlawed and magic rules. And he has a general and an ambassador as his right-hand men, and they're Paul McGann and Paul Darrow. And you just think, oh my God, what have I done? I'm in some kind of parallel universe. How did this happen? It's like, it was magnificent listening to the 3 of them. And that scene is still one of my favourite scenes now, is that them kind of joshing off each other is superb. It's a real treat to listen to. So if you haven't listened to The Minister of Chance, then you are missing something. I think Dan has written a really brilliant script. I mean, for me, all of these things come from script. If you've got a good script, then you're a fool if you can't turn it into something good. And if you've not got a good script, you're a bloody genius if you turn it into something good.
I can't help but think Sylvester McCoy, because I've seen him growing up as the Doctor and being this comedic, funny, good guy. And there are 2 things that I've seen him, and I can't remember the movie. I think it was
Kinds of Heat.
That was one of the movies. I've seen him as a bad guy. It was the only reason, plus Mary Tam was in it.
Yeah.
And to see him as a bad guy, I just couldn't do it. It's not that he was a bad actor or anything. I just could not change that for me. And I think it was Beyond Fear that I saw him in. And I can't see him as a bad guy. I just couldn't do it. I just can't let it go that he's my 7th Doctor. So I thought it was interesting. He's now a bad guy again.
Yeah, but have you listened to Minister of Chance?
I have not yet. Shame on me.
Shame on
I
you.
will
Right,
be.
well then, and that's absolutely fine, because I completely mangled up what I was doing, trying to listen to your show. Listen to some Listeners won't know, but in the awful and to my shame, embarrassment of the introductions that we did earlier, listeners, I had very dutifully gone and listened to a show thinking I was doing my homework, listened to completely the wrong show.
We get that all the time.
But what I would say is that I would genuinely love to know what you think, having listened to it, if you think Sylvester pulls it off the back, because I think he really does.
Oh, no, he can pull it off. I can't get the Seventh Doctor out. It's almost like watching my uncle turn bad.
Yeah, but do it on audio, because then you create a whole new world. You're doing the work then. You're not looking at what you see recognisably as your Seventh Doctor. You're being allowed to be taken to somewhere completely differently. And that's why I'm very pleased to be doing another audio series, is that the thing that seemed to mark out the Ministry of Chance and got us a really international audience. I mean, your show is phenomenally international. Yeah. You listen to all across the globe, from China across Europe, and we have the similar kind of thing. You look at our stats and you think, gosh, someone's popping up in South America and South Africa and Belgium, and we had a phenomenal intake, and it's very exciting when you get that and you're thinking, I've made this audio thing and I've created this world, and someone's listening to it a gazillion miles away on probably a completely different time zone. Yeah. It's such a thrill that we've got these technologies that will enable us to do it as an audio.
Now, we've mentioned the Doctor Who actors, but I mean, you've had Tim McInnery is in it. You've got Tasman Gregg, who I love.
In episodes,
but I remember her from Green Wing.
Oh, she's brilliant. She's such a funny actress. She's playing a character that's much less comedic in this. She's a very heavyweight character. She's called the Sage of the Waves, and there's an archness to her tone, but it's not a comedy role in the way that Green Wing is. Right. But she plays it brilliantly. She comes into episode 3, Christian, so you've got 2 episodes to get to before you get to Tamsin. But Jenny Agutter as well. I mean, she's a delight to work with, and she plays a character called Professor Canther, who, of course, with science being outlawed, is somebody who's had to go and take refuge in the woods and hide from the wizards that have come in to rule the country. Right. Yeah, it's a cracking good adventure, but it's also got a stream running through it of science versus religion, which I think is really interesting.
DCI Gene Hunt, Philip Glenister's in it too.
Yeah.
Oh,
now you see, the big coup on that was 2 actors, Phil being one of them, but also Jed Brophy, who is in The Hobbit and in all the Lord of the Rings films. I mean, he, from way over to the other side of the world, appeared in our inbox saying, I've heard what you've been doing and I just think it's fantastic. We don't make anything like this kind of audio in New Zealand, and it's brilliant. And if you're making any more, there's anything I could play, I would love to. And then Phil is married to Beth Goddard, who's a lovely actor, and she played Sunflower for us starting in episode 3. So Phil had listened to a couple of episodes to hear her, and he also came through saying, if you had a role, I would be really interested. Beth has a fantastic time working with you. She comes back flying, going, oh, that was such fun. If you happen to have something I could play, I'd love to. And so we put him into episode 5. So, yeah, I mean, when that happens, it's very flattering, but it's really... you just really feel like you're doing something quality if that happens.
Now, you do a lot of things. I mean, you are a producer, you're a freelance agent, I think, still. You run the social media and I guess the websites for Sylvester McCoy, Jenny Agutter, and a lot of people. But one thing that you do is very interesting. I used to watch a show called Home to Roost, and it starred an actor named John Thaw.
Yeah.
And then he became Inspector Morse, and he had international fame. Now, you are running a John Thaw Foundation.
That's right. I mean, one of the clients that I've looked after for a very long time now is Sheila Hancock, who's John's widow. Mm-hmm. And I started looking after her in the period where I wasn't agenting for actors, but I was really missing working with actors. And I'd realised when I was agenting that actors quite often need somebody to sort something out for them at short notice, and you never know when. So if you have an assistant and you pay them a day, they come and work for you, and you pick another day, another month. Well, who's to say something urgent doesn't come in the next day? I mean, does it wait? And what do you do? So, or do you end up collecting dry cleaning because they've paid for a day but they've nothing for you to do. So I set up this freelance business where I would just sort out things when they needed sorting out. And Sheila came to me right at the very start. And after a very short time, the issue of the John Thaw Foundation came up. It had been running, it was set up just before he died. He was involved in setting it up, and he wanted it to be an opportunity to help disadvantaged and underprivileged young people, give them a helping hand in the way that very kind people had helped him. And so Sheila needed some, it kind of started off tiny and it got bigger. Her daughter was running it, but then her daughter had first child and 2 children, and then she's on to 3 children, and over a period of time it's ended up being run by me. It's a very small foundation, but it does some fantastic work, and we try and support projects where we can see that our small input will really make a difference. Most of it's in the UK, but we've had several projects abroad in different ways. But it's things where you can see that a young person's life has been changed and that their opportunities have grown because you were able to offer support of a project. It's run by somebody else. We don't run our own projects, so it'll be a theatre company or a children's charity in this country that come to us saying we'd love to run this workshop, or we've got this idea for a project which will really give young people a chance. Often it's the ones that they call hard to reach, where the ones that have been in trouble at school or who've left school without any qualifications and don't know what they're going to do, the ones that are at risk of offending or maybe have offended but just need help getting back on track. And so a variety of different children's groups in this country come to us with ideas of how to do. I mean, one of them is actually it's called Life Education, and they have this fantastic bus that travels around schools in the southwest of England, and it's full of really interesting ways of teaching children about how to live healthily, whether it's drugs or alcohol or eating sensibly and exercise. It's to try and make sure that kids actually take responsibility for their own health and future and grow up with some good ideas about what to do, not just sitting in front of the television and eating crisps. And it's full of these fantastic things you can touch and move and make sounds. And yet a lot of the schools in that area couldn't possibly afford to pay for them to come along. And yet those are often the schools where the kids really do need help with someone from the outside encouraging them to live maybe a different lifestyle and go out and play out, get some exercise, or don't do drugs and don't smoke and all of those things. And so the John Thaw Foundation helps with a couple of the schools in that area. So we just make it possible for that bus to go to a school which couldn't afford, the parent base is on very low income and in a deprived area and couldn't possibly afford to pay for the bus to come otherwise. So it could be something educational like that, or it could be a production with kids taking part in it but who've come from some kind of background that meant they particularly needed help. But really, that's actually very rewarding. That's what a job I thoroughly enjoy doing.
Cool. You said that you went to school with Sophie Aldred, right?
University
Yeah. University with Sophie Aldred. Because she was in Doctor Who, and because this is a slight, this is a Doctor Who show that we're doing. Are you a Doctor Who fan?
I watched Doctor Who as a child growing up, so old Who.
Who was your doctor? Who was your first doctor?
Well, I never know whether to plumb into John Pertwee or Tom Baker, which means I've also given you a clue as to my age.
John Pertwee would be my first if I lived in England, but I lived in America, so my first was Tom Baker.
I just kind of, even as a child, I kept thinking, is it as good? I never could quite make up my mind. And I suspect that it's just a draw, basically.
Right.
I was probably at university without a television when we got to Sylvester time. So my knowledge of Sylvester's episodes has come later watching them retrospectively. Right. Ironically, of course, Sophie would have been at university and probably without a television at the time. So, when it first started, then she went pretty soon after university into it, I think.
So you didn't have a communal TV in the lounge?
No, most of us didn't have a television set. And in fact, one of the houses I rented did have a television set. Simon and I shared a house. Well, we did have a television set for a while, but it was so awful that you had no idea what you were watching. So that, that was a bit of a waste of time. But currently, I sat down with my kids who were at the perfect age to have Doctor Who come back. I was so thrilled. And ironically, the very first Doctor Who of the new series showed here, I think it was at Easter, Easter Saturday.
Yes.
And
yes.
Simon Hickson was coincidentally at our house, had come over to spend Easter Saturday with us. And he and my husband spent the afternoon chopping down a tree in our garden that needed to come down. God knows how they didn't kill each other. And then we all went, okay, come in from chopping down tree, Chinese takeaway, let's watch this new Doctor Who series. So Simon and I sat and watched it together with my husband, and we loved it. And I've watched it ever since. The kids watched it very passionately through until probably about a year or two ago. But that's more to do with the age they've become now.
Right.
They're late teens and mid-teens, and they don't tend to watch much telly at all, and certainly not Doctor Who.
And yet I'm a middle-aged man, and I watch Doctor Who all the time. So
no, when you get to teenage, they don't watch television. They
don't
really,
watch television.
I
remember watching TV when I was a teenager.
Yeah, that's because that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Let's be honest.
Let's be brutally honest. Let's be brutally honest. I'm an old man.
Yeah. Teenage, we didn't have Xbox and YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We were none of those things.
No,
whereas now, that's what they've got. So today's teenagers very rarely, well, certainly hardly ever sit down and watch a television program as it's going out. That's unheard of. They will watch it on catch-up, but they're more likely to be having it on in the background while they're texting or Instagramming or Xboxing or playing video games or whatever it is that they're doing. But they, my youngest teen spent a lot of time on YouTube. I mean, she absolutely gobbles up all these people who the names mean nothing to me. But she will spend the evening catching up with all these various vloggers, they're called, I think, aren't they?
Yeah. Around
the world. And she's really up on who they all are. And they are the most influential people now, absolutely without shadow. That they have millions of followers. So if someone like, she called Zoe, writes a book, she'll sell millions of copies straight off because she's got that many followers who are going, she's written a book. Zoella, she's called, isn't she? They are so influential. If any of those vloggers says to our young people, you must do this, then, off they go. It's almost like brainwashing. It's like a Doctor Who. It is like a Doctor Who episode where they've sold something that everyone's got access to, and it's turned the minds of the whole world. And it is like the vloggers. It could easily be a Doctor Who episode. It is bizarre how they will all listen to these people and hang on their every word. And they'll start off as maybe teenage and in their own bedrooms. And the next thing you know, they are creating these posts that are listened to everywhere that speaks English. And they will be saying, I must buy this sort of makeup because Zoella says it's good, or Flip-Flop says get this kind of book, or such and such a film is good. Is that they are influenced incredibly by them in the way that we were influenced by, I was influenced by watching Blue Peter, which I don't think had any life in the States, but I mean,
we've got clips of Blue Peter stuff on the DVDs for Doctor Who when there was a special thing, but yeah, we don't have Blue Peter is not well known in the United States,
but it's just a different world. So I think you'll find that which is, I have to say, is partly why I wanted to make another audio podcast, is that I was thinking if I could say the youth of today, which makes me sound like an
don't.
We're just harping on this age thing, aren't we?
Claire, don't even worry, because
they're going to have headphones in their ears, like they've been surgically placed there.
Yes.
Then why not put something into those headphones that's imaginative and creative?
Definitely.
And not just reactionary, that you're not just listening to what somebody else says and thinking, I'll follow that, but where you're actually being taken to a world that is keeping that imagination going. And so for me, it was obvious to go from the Minister of Chance to doing something that would also reach a younger audience, and that you could listen to on your own if you're on a commute going to work, or you could listen to as a child going to bed, or you could listen to together in the car and nobody would be moaning.
And the most important part is, unlike Big Finish, it's free!
Well, yeah, it's free, yes. I mean, we lunatics that we are. No, we raised enough money to cover production costs. I can't say that Trev, Simon, Sophie and I have been paid in anything like you would expect, but we wanted to make it, so that's our fault. But we have managed with the actors and crew to make sure that some money has gone across. And actually, even things like websites and any of the promotions that you will do, it's frightening where it disappears to. But we're hoping down the line that people will get excited by the world of it and that they will be wanting to buy T-shirts or memorabilia from it that might, who knows, somewhere down the line create a business of some kind. But at the moment, I wanted Trev and Simon to write something that would give them an opportunity to write what they wanted to write. And one of the beauties of doing crowdfunded work, even if you're not getting paid, is that you get control over your creative process. I don't have seats to answer to. You know, Trev and Simon and Sophie and I answer to each other, and that is it. So there are various decisions where Sophie and I will bow to Trev and Simon as the creators of it. We will give our opinion and we'll say, ends with you. Certain business decisions where they may bow to me, but it's just the four of us, and we don't have to, you know, change a character from male to female or female to male or... You know, none of it is prescriptive in the sense of anyone else coming in from above us without any understanding of the creative process, saying, I think you should this and I think you should that. Is they've written something that they wanted to make. They were very strict with themselves. They went back again and again and honed it down. I mean, when they first wrote the scripts, they wrote scripts of them setting off to space. They actually did the backstory of how they got to space, and they were brilliantly funny scripts. But it, you know, as we organically moved along, they thought, you know what, from an audience's point of view coming in, we probably just need to be there. And we can maybe cover the backstory in snippets as we go through, or maybe we can at some point, if we make enough, we can do a kind of retrospective look at how it all, you know, they got there. But basically all the audience needs to know is that they're in space and they're stuck and they want to get back. They don't really need to know how they got there. So however funny that episode is, it wasn't necessary for the storytelling. So they've really been hard on themselves. You know, they've edited and cut, they've honed it down to what they want. So it's not that nobody takes a pair of scissors to a script and cuts it. It's not that anybody makes something without, you know, they just think, oh, I want to make that, so what, I'll just make it now. It's like, it's this, you know, you still go through the creative process very diligently and with great eye for detail, but you are able ultimately to make something the way you want to make it. You know, I said to them, wouldn't it be great if we made something like 15-minute episodes that kids could listen to before bed? And they wrote their stories and they came in over 15 and they were actually going to end up being 24. Nothing in the episode I would cut. So it's given us the freedom to have lots of nonsense and undercurrents going on in it, which I think really bring a layer to the story, but which in any other format would have been cut. You would have gone, okay, the story is here, 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 and here, and that's your 15 minutes, and that's all we've got time for. Whereas we're able to go, okay, it comes in at 22 minutes or 22 minutes and 33 seconds. It doesn't matter. As long as we've told what we want to tell, we can just go ahead with it.
That's great.
I was thinking, we were talking about children today, and Patty and I have this running joke, and it said, what are we going to tell our kids like our parents told us? It said they used to walk through the snow to school every day barefoot, and we're going to tell our kids, when I was growing up, we only had one HBO.
Yeah, pretty much.
and something like that. But
so don't they? Is that we I don't know about in America, but there's definitely been a wave here where cooking and baking cakes and even knitting have become more popular and more cool than they were, and it's kind of gone around in cycles. You know, we had people doing all those home things, and then suddenly it wasn't cool at all to do those things, and you had to do them in secrecy. And then suddenly, you know, the Bake Off program in the UK is one of the most popular programs.
Oh yeah.
And that's making Victoria sponges. You know, which
my sister lives in England. She told me about the show. Oh my god.
Very, very popular.
They tried doing it here. One of the channels here did a version of the Bake Off, and I don't think it did well in the ratings.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
It did not do well in the ratings. And actually, Christian, she wouldn't say, when I was growing up, we only had one HBO. She would go, when I was growing up, we only had 2 BBCs. But that would be the proper phrase.
My parents told me the only reason that they had me was that they hadn't invented the remote control yet, so they had to have something to get on. That's what my dad told me. He said, if it wasn't for the fact that we didn't know they had a remote control, you wouldn't even be here. So That's love, Dad. Thanks, Dad. Love you.
So, Claire.
Yes.
Like I mentioned before, you run personal social media platforms for many people like Sylvester McCoy, Sheila Hancock, and the like. But we were wondering if you have a web presence.
Am I on Twitter and Facebook, you mean?
And a website. I mean, I'm looking at the website, but I was giving you the in.
I have a... Yes, I have... Sorry. Duh. I have a website, clareeden.com. That's what it says on the tin. I'm also on Twitter, @Execker.
I like the name Execker.
Well, it started off because no one knew what to call me on the Minister of Chance, because basically it was Dan Freeman and I.
Uh-huh.
So I was producing and casting and doing contracts and scheduling studios and printing scripts and publicity and social media and press releases and cooking and cleaning the house so that people could record here. And in the end, that seemed like a really long title.
Yeah.
So we went for Execker.
Yeah. And you're definitely on Facebook.
I am on Facebook, yes.
And you're on Tumblr, which we're not, actually. We're actually...
Well, you're not. Well, it's weird, Tumblr. I haven't done it with enough passion, I don't think. I think I need to probably...
To me, it seems like Tumblr is porn. What? Most of Tumblr is porn.
Are you implying that's why I'm on it?
No. I'm just saying that
Lordy.
you can't do things on Facebook and Twitter that you can do on Tumblr, and so people take advantage of it, and and so we don't have a presence on there, and we probably should, but we don't.
And ladies and gentlemen, the show has hit an absolute new low. A new low that we could never.
No. But I wasn't implying that or inferring or anything like that.
Well, if anyone goes to my Tumblr feed expecting porn, they're going to be seriously disappointed. One of my favourite moments of agenting was we had several clients who were represented in the States as well by American agents. Right. And one of those American agents said, oh, listen, I've got this young boy coming over. He's coming to do a press junket for this series that's going to come out soon. And we think it's really successful. And he's a sweetheart. He's a poppet. You know, we really love him, but he's really young. He's not been there before. Will you look after him? Will you introduce him to some casting directors? And we're like, yeah. And then so we looked out for the series coming on, and it came on, and it was ER. And we were like, oh my God, this is brilliant. We're so in love with so many of the male characters. I mean, ER was just so many men that you could have kind of little crushes on him for different reasons.
And apparently half of Tumblr right now.
But Noah was, lovely. It was such a treat because all the casting directors, we're supposed to be going, can we get Noah in to meet some casting directors? Well, it was easy peasy. I mean, you'd ring up and you go, oh, hello, Noah Wiley's over, John Carter in ER. Would you like, yeah. So we managed a full schedule for him.
Wow.
And then we took him for lunch at the Criterion. That was a very pleasant day.
That's great. Before we go, do you have any plug? This is a section of the show where we allow our guests to give plugs. Anything coming up in the future for Clare Eden?
No, the only thing that I'm working on at the moment is Strangeness-in-Space. Around my other paid work, my general work, it is the project that I am really needing to move. So if you're listening to this now and you haven't already downloaded it, then do. And I would hope that you'll be treating yourself to 24 minutes of just escapism, that you will laugh and that you will enjoy yourself.
I can't wait. Well, I'd like to thank Clare Eden for coming on our show here on Mark Who 42. Thanks, Claire.
Thank you very much.
Hope you had a good time.
I had a lovely time.
I'll be back. I'm just going to check out Tumblr for just a moment there, folks. See ya.
No, Christian. You can do it on your own time. You're getting paid here. Well, not really. See, we have the same thing. I don't pay my workers. I'm the executor here at Mark Who 42, and they get nothing.
We're promised a 5% bonus every year, and apparently when you make nothing, 5% is really nothing.
Pretty much.
Not around here.
But you know what? If that's the way it works, guys, ask for 25% bonus.
They should, but you know what? They haven't. And
for triple my salary.
I will quadruple your salary.
I know.
Sometimes, though, it's just good to do something because you feel your creative juices flowing. Isn't it?
I have too much Doctor Who on the brain, so I do this show.
So you excited about the new season of Capaldi coming up?
Oh, yes. September 19th is going to be amazing. Oh, I cannot wait.
Rufus Hound is in the new Doctor Who series, and he's playing a guest role for us in episode 2.
Oh, wow.
Rufus is in there? Oh, my God.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
We didn't have that in our news segments in the first half of the show, or did we? We might have.
No, Rufus Hound, who, originally came to fame here as a comedian, but he's actually doing much more straight acting. In fact, I think he's about to do a Shakespeare production.
Oh, wow.
At the Rose Theatre in Kingston.
I can see that.
He's great, and he's such... Oh, God, lovely to work with. Really good fun. But he is doing one of the storylines in Doctor Who, and he's playing a rhinocebiker called Atrocious Canosius.
I love rhinocebiker.
You will love rhinocebiker. And you will definitely like Rufus's rhinocebiker.
I'm sure I will.
You will.
Well,
it's been a pleasure, guys. Thanks very much.
Claire.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Clare Eden and thank Sophie Aldred for getting us involved with Clare Eden. That was a great interview, guys, wasn't it?
Yes, it was great.
We need to thank her by getting her some shawarma.
Yeah, well, maybe not.
Everybody should be awarded with shawarma. Shawarma for everybody.
I only knew what it was.
Well, I know some places that do it. I can give you the addresses. You're more than welcome.
That's about all the time we have for today's show. We went over the hour, but you know what? You deserved it because you're the fan out there and you listen to us on Krypton Radio and elsewhere. You may be listening to us on iTunes or at our website, www.marku42.net. And if you are, please join the Whoniverse Army. Sign in, comment, subscribe. On the right side of the page, there is a place to get all the latest news sent to your email. Don't forget to go to geekcastradio.com. There, shout out to Geekcast Radio Network. Woohoo! FloridaGeekscene.com, Stitcher Radio. We're all over the net. Any final words? And it better not be shawarma.
Patty, how can we forget?
This coming Sunday, for those in the Orlando area, are welcome to join Christian and myself.
Oh, yes, you must talk about this.
Cosplay invasion we're having at Madame Tussauds on I Drive from 2 to 5. Yeah, between 2 to 5, we're inviting all Doctor Who fans and especially Doctor Who cosplayers to come on down. And
this Sunday, isn't it?
That is this Sunday, yeah.
I forgot to mention it. I'm sorry. Because Marku42 is a proud sponsor.
Absolutely.
Do we have a place, Patty, where they're going to eat afterwards, or?
I figured we'll just kind of wing it if anybody want to grab a bite later. Like I said, it's International Drive, and literally every eatery known in the free world is represented there. So
yeah, exactly. I'm just hoping they'll accommodate the people that we got. But the event is from 2 to 5, and you want to be there at 2 o'clock. That's when we're going to take the mega Whovian cosplay pictures.
Mega.
The mega. That means everybody who is there, we are going to take a picture of. I'll be arriving a little early. I would say about 1 o'clock for people who want to be on the Traveling TARDIS Facebook page. I'm going to be there at 1-ish. We're going to be recording a show beforehand, so I'll be coming right after the recording on Sunday. So just make sure you are there at 2 o'clock of all time.
And if you're interested, you can get your tickets $5 cheaper if you buy online in advance, at least the day before.
Yeah, where can they do that?
They could do that at, I think it's just Tussauds.com.
It's on the website. Go to marku42.net. I wrote an article. It's there. So is that it? We're done?
I do have a little announcement. Not as
shawarma,
soon.
Right?
Well, no, not shawarma. But it is some awesome geekiness. If you remember a few shows ago, I did mention that I'm the panel coordinator for the Great Basin Geek Con. The panels are basically pretty much set in stone. We have the schedule ready to go. And Trish and I are going to be having a Doctor Who panel, and it will be at 11 o'clock on Sunday, October 18th. I will be moderating on Saturday the 17th. I'll be moderating an author panel. So we've got some awesome local authors. I'll be moderating that. So the con will be October 17th and 18th at, what is the name of the mall, Trish?
Reno Old Town Mall.
The Reno Old Town Mall. We're basically all but taking over the mall, so...
Well, that's great.
Come on by, and hey, it is absolutely free. You do not have to pay a thing. Just show up in costume, come see us. It'll be a great time. Trust me, believe me. The Great Basin Geek Organization, whenever we get together, it's awesome. I mean, words cannot describe.
Well, you're bringing up a convention, I think we should also bring up Space Coast Comic-Con, which we will be attending. Marku 42 will have panels. We're going to have a game of The Match Game, Doctor Who style. If you remember the old Gene Rayburn show with Charles Olson Riley, we're going to be doing that. We'll also be doing that at Time Lord Fest, a different episode of that game at Time Lord Fest, which is in October in Tampa. Space Coast Comic-Con, of course, Space Coast is in Cape Canaveral area. And we'll be at Hurricane Who, won't we?
When is Space Coast?
Space Coast is in September.
September 12th and 13th if you go to their Facebook site, or you can actually go to www.spacecoastcomiccon.com, and if you purchase your tickets in advance and actually use Mark-Who42, use the promo code, or the discount code, I should say, you will get $5 off each ticket.
Wow.
So make sure that you can purchase your tickets in advance and get $5 off just using us. So we're also there to save you money.
Yeah.
Not only just to geek out and have a great time Whovian and have a great, wonderful game show that we're going to be testing out, hopefully we'll be using at conventions in the future, but you're going to save a little money coming out.
That's great.
Stuff.
See, we like to save you money.
We love to save you money. Bye, everyone.
Save your money so you can buy more Doctor Who, so you can buy more Marvel stuff.
No, they can't buy more Marvel stuff.
Hey, I thought we were going beyond the Whoniverse.
Oh, that's right. But
Our
still,
next
they can't
convention,
buy more.
yeah, Schwarmicon.
Yeah, Schwarmicon will be next. And then next. It's not good. Bye, everyone. Marku 42 was written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Patricia-Helm, Christian-basel, Patty-Hawkins, and Eduardo-m-Freyre, with Wink Taylor as the Doctor. This show was edited, produced, and directed by Mark Baumgarten. Please visit marku42.net and register to join and be a part of the Whoniverse Army. We can be contacted by email at mark@marku42.net with the subject line ? If you have worked on Doctor Who or are working on a project relating to Doctor Who and want to be on our radio show, please email our media relations director, Christian-basel, at marku42media@yahoo.com. Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. This show is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten, 2015. You're listening to Krypton Radio.